All right, 7 o'clock. Here we go. All right. You have the meeting. Tim, if you can put up the, oh, you did put up the website. Sorry, go back to it. If anybody has any questions out there, and want to find out any more things that we don't get to tonight, you can always contact the project team directly on our website at Wakefield nhsproject.com. So please do so, and we will answer it as promptly as we can.
Okay.
All right. I see everybody's, the meeting is, the committee is complete. And the first order is going to be, if you're not aware, of town meeting, article number 10, approved a salt shed. I was gonna say shack. Probably a place to eat, I don't know. So Joe Conway is on, I think.
I'm here, Joe.
Oh, okay, thank you. So
Yeah.
Joe, I just thought it would, if you could just kind of briefly go over the project, what you're looking for, and then we can start thinking about how we proceed, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you inviting me. My apologies. I have the video setting on. I cannot get it to work. Phil is usually my IT assist, but we're obviously separated, so I'll go without it for now. But for those of you who I might not know, Joe Conway, I'm the Public Works Director. Like Mr. Bertrand just said, at town meeting, we did ask for some money essentially to redesign our salt shed, and hopefully, start the process of getting a new one. The Reader's Digest to that, what it basically got us to this point. We have 3 sheds that are situated in the rear of the Nahant Street Yard Waste site. They're about 1970s vintage. They're either 4x4 or 6x6 post and beam with plywood screwed to them. As we were going through this winter, we found out, that the plywood is not only to the point where it won't hold screws and stay on the building anymore, but the beams have also started to get soft. So in looking at that, we've gone past the point where we can Band-Aid and bubble gum it to hold it together. So we're kind of at the point where you're going to start looking at replacing it. Obviously, given where it's located and the relative inability to relocate that, more or less, we know that there's some design constraints related to conservation and different things like that. So we put together the best estimate that we could through due diligence, came up with a number that we thought would be appropriate to do that. We were fortunate enough to get the votes that we needed to move forward, and I'm here with you guys tonight. So,
Joe, how much was it again? How much was it?
So it's just under $400,000, and I'll explain that a little bit. So I actually think the design and the survey and the scope of locating this thing and generating construction plans should actually be cheaper than that. But one of the additional things that we need to do because of where it is and some of the weights involved is some of the subsurface work to make sure that we don't put multiple thousands of tons of salt there and have it sink into the ground. With that, we also included monies should that, God forbid, we hit something in the ground that is nasty and it triggers a reporting. So that's in there too. So we're cautiously optimistic that that won't happen, but we wanted to make sure we had all the bases covered in the estimate that we brought forth to town meeting.
So Joe, have you guys put together an RFP for services yet?
I haven't done a formal RFP, Chip. I mean, I have the scope and I think I have everything that we need. I would default to the committee. If we want to go the RFP route, I could turn one around and get it back to you for comment pretty quick. We kind of know the shopping list of things that we're going to need to be able to permit this thing. So we'd be able to do that.
If you didn't go with an I mean, I think if you didn't go with an RFP, what would your proposal be? To use somebody you already know? that has familiarity with the site, or, I mean, I think you kind of have to go with
I
an
think we have to
RFP.
go with
Yeah, so there's that. I mean, and then there's also, you know, depending on the committee, I haven't done too much due diligence on it, but there are some out of the box versions of these things you could do through like GSA, federal contracting and things like that. The one thing I'm not too sure about is if it would include the design services. You know, if I'm being truthful, I think an RFP with one-stop shopping makes the most sense. But I didn't
Yeah.
want to be I didn't want to be presumptuous until we started the conversation, basically is where we're at.
Yeah, I think we have to, at the scope being what it is, I think if you can put together an RFP for our review, and then, that all goes through the new business, I call her new. She's probably been here 5 years now, right? Or longer, business manager, right?
Right. This one, I might end up taking just because I'm the most familiar with it. But one of the two of us, somebody at Public Works would end up, you know, doing the legwork after we volley back the comments, and actually getting it out so we can get some things to review.
Well, I think the quicker you get it to us to review to get our comments back, the quicker you can get that on the street, the quicker we can get somebody involved and then moving forward.
Yeah. I think that makes
Absolutely.
sense. What kind of timeline are you thinking? Like, I mean, we meet once a month. We will be able to do it in June?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So I could get the June meeting date. Honestly, I could probably turn it around in about 10 days.
All right, well,
You know-
our June meeting day is gonna be June 19th. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
And maybe if we have it by then, we can review it. You give it to me obviously a week or so before. We'll get
At
it
least
to
a week.
everybody, at least a week before, get it to everybody to review. And then, we'll meet on the 19th and, start the process then.
Right, because we can
Absol-
update it offline with our comments and committee member comments, so that when you get to the 19th, we can approve, you know, hopefully have something in a form that we can approve and go out to the street with it.
Absolutely. So I'll make it my goal then to get that out to you. I'll shoot for the first, just because the holiday weekend gets a little goofy. You have it plenty of time. And then, like Chip, you had said, leading up to it, if there are any comments, I'll just keep live editing it as the renditions come in. And you know, we'll go from there. But I'll plan on getting that out, you know, ASAP.
All right.
Perfect.
Wayne,
Hey, Joe, do you
Yeah,
mind?
Wayne,
I have
yeah,
a
go ahead.
question.
Yeah,
To Wayne, Joe, it's Wayne Hardacre Building Committee.
How are you?
Good, how about you?
No complaints, except for the camera issue.
Bring me up to speed, or why are we pursuing this?
Honestly, the short answer is we're afraid it's gonna fall down.
Yeah.
And,
No, but why the building
So
committee?
this,
Wayne, I can
Wayne
explain
might
that
not
to you.
know.
If you
I'll
would-
explain that to you. Under the town bylaws,
Charter.
the Article 5, Permanent Building Committee, Board Committees and Commissions. It is the responsibility of the Permanent Building Committee to oversee all projects for design, construction, reconstruction, renovation, alteration, or enlargement of any building owned by the town or undertaken on land owned or leased to the town with an expected project or construction value of $100,000 or more. The Permanent Building Committee shall have the sole authority to procure engineering and architectural services, to award bids for construction, to enter into contracts on behalf of the town with respect to matters within its authority, and to administer such contracts in accordance with applicable law. That's why.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you, Joe, thank you, Joe.
No problem. I knew that was gonna come.
Well, hello.
All right. Any other questions, for Mr. Conway?
So Joe, we want to get this done as quickly as possible because you are concerned that it may not make a heavy snow winter.
Well, the problem also is that once it gets approved, it still has to go back to town meeting for funding.
Okay,
This doesn't fund the building of it.
this
This
may have
is
to
just
go
engineering.
Conservation Commission, I would imagine. as
They're a
well.
year away from seeing a new
Okay.
shell
All
shed.
right. That was my question.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Anybody other questions? All right. Joe, thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, we'll see you in June.
all right, sounds good. I'll be in touch with some updates shortly.
All right, take care,
Thanks,
guys.
Joe.
All right, bye.
Thanks, folks.
So we're on to the high school.
On to the high school, wasn't it? Did you enjoy that one?
Alrighty, so first up, we have administrative actions. We have the April 10th meeting minutes to review and approve, and the monthly invoices, as well as a quick budget update. And we do have a revised change order 10 to look at, and a loose PCO to look at tonight. We have the Conservation Commission update under the design and construction update, as well as the bleachers for the gym, I believe. We have a schedule update, and then we have some other, I would call administrative actions as well. The PBC reorganization vote. I'm not sure that really is a reorganization other than a formal vote required. And then any matters not anticipated
cool.
for the agenda.
Cool, jump in, anybody.
All right, first thing is the approval of the minutes.
I move that we approve the April 10th, 2025 BBC meeting minutes as written.
Any discussion? Any comments? Seeing none, is there anyone object to approval of the minutes of April 10th, 2025 of the Permanent Building Committee, School Building Committee meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved.
I move that we approve.
Next up is the invoices.
Yep. I move that we approve Left Field's invoice
Okay.
number 46 for a sum of $145,000.
I will second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
unanimous.
I move that we approve SMMA's invoice number 0063094 in the following categories for the following amounts. SMMA for $104,117. Amendment 10 Burnett Field for $900. Amendment 12 Lot H for $1,902.40. BSC Group for $3,127.73. SMA LGCI Technical Consulting for $1,537.01. BSC Group for Site Survey, $4,446.07, for a total of SMMA total of $116,030.21.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none. Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
Yes.
unanimous.
I move that we approve, hold on,
Here we go.
bonds, all for invoice AFP 13. CMP for the sum of $112,198.49. Insurance and bonds for $176,529.08. GMP contingency for $4,723.25. Division 1 general conditions for $200,730.60. General requirements for $284,085.35. Concrete for $1,136,255. Structural steel for $171,500. Wood, plastic, and composites for $72,268.85. Thermal and moisture protection for $892,018. Glass and glazing for $250,724. Finishes for $577,886.90. Fire protection for $242,690.60. Plumbing for $568,114. HVAC for $1,194,094.25. Electrical for $372,950. Site work for $195,158, minus the retainage from all contractors of $33,900. $320,361.34 for a grand sum of $6,131,564.03, 565.03, excuse me.
I will take a breath for you, Chip. And now second.
Any questions or comments, or one Chip to repeat it?
Just a question.
Yeah, Wayne.
Are we still directing structural steel?
No,
No,
We're not.
no,
Oh, no.
yep,
It's all done.
that was, I think that was just,
I don't
I think there
know if
was-
it's all done.
yeah,
They're
maybe not
still-
the over, because
They're
there's
still finishing up
some
some,
finished work, I think.
but they're not they're not raising anymore, Steve.
Yeah.
There's missed metals that are gonna be billed throughout, which is
Yeah.
also on that line item.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? John?
I was just wondering on the, maybe it's just the titling, but finishes, like at this point, what are $500,000 of finishes?
Division 9 finishes.
That'd be the
drywall sub
The drywall,
It's just that stuff.
yeah, the drywall.
That also includes, light gauge metal framing too. Division 9 does. And you've got all those interior studs up.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Any other questions? Nobody wants them to repeat it. Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
repeat it, Chip.
I move that we approve UTS.
Well, wait a minute, just say yes on the.
You still have to say yes.
On.
for the vote.
Yes,
Okay.
So that's unanimous.
Okay.
I move that we approve UTS's invoice 116852 for the sum of $9,830.
Second.
50 cents.
And, no,
Not on my.
Oh, my sheet had 50.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, we're not paying them 50.
Oh, the heck with them.
you can't have that 50 cents.
All right.
Now we gotta chip in.
Second,
Any questions or comments? Jason,
yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John, Aaron,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes,
unanimous.
we just approved total of all invoices, $6,402,425.24.
Is that a new record?
It's like winning the lottery.
No, I think we.
No,
No,
that's
it's-
small.
Small.
Wait till we get going,
No,
Wayne.
I'm just saying, there's a new record for the, so far.
No, I think
No, I
we
think we've
did
had,
structural steel, I think. we
the
were up a
structural
little
steel
bit.
one, I think we were
We're 10 or
more,
11.
it was, no, it wasn't that, I think it was 6 or 7.
Yeah, well, it was more than
It
four.
was-
It was scary when I had the.
Yeah.
All right,
Good stuff.
All right, Lynn.
Done. All good.
Okay, so we have committed 92% of the budget and expended 28% to date. Our construction budget remains unchanged at $223,897,739. And we have a uncommitted budget of $21,759,288. Much of that is in the contingencies. The owner's construction contingency is still at $11,022,969, and our soft cost contingency is at the $1,969,084 mark.
Lynn, can we go back to
Yes.
that a second? Is,
Yep.
is on here, is the bond contingency that we're,
The bond contingency is wrapped up in the construction budget.
okay, it's not a separate line.
It is not a separate line item. It's within the GMP, and we're just reporting on the GMP total.
That's what we're gonna be dealing with some of the PCOs and the change orders. I didn't know if there was a separate line on that, but there is.
In there, but.
Yeah, it's in there, budget. Okay.
Right.
Any questions or comments? Okay, I'm gonna go to the.
So, our cash flow is tracking a little higher than what our projected was, mainly because of the progress of the job. But what I will say is also because at the beginning of this job, we evenly distributed both the owner's construction contingency and the owner's soft cost contingency throughout the project. And since we haven't used any of those, it shows that, what we had projected is less. But, anyway, I will say that I just provided some new cash flow, information to the town to do their second set of borrowing on the project. So they just put in the requirements for $100 million bond.
Right, there was, Steve Mayo, contacted Lynn Mayo regarding getting the new cash flow for the end of the project, so they could go out and get another bond, because they didn't bond the whole thing, and initially they bonded it in steps. This is I think this, the second step, but I think it's the final one. So that was provided by Lynn. Thanks for that, Lynn.
Sure.
Any questions, comments regarding the cash flow report? Being none. Next.
So I think this is not the latest presentation, but that's been on the screen tonight. But we do have a revised change order 10, which has 9 PCOs in it. Chris, do you want to pull that, or can you pull that up?
Which one do you want to talk about 10 first and then move to the,
Yeah, 10 first, and then that's 10 first, and then the
Yes.
second one.
So Chris, do you want to go through this?
I can do it.
Sure. So yeah, if what we'll do is, so there's some design change contingencies in here, and then there's some bond allowances. So Dave from SMMA will take us through the design change contingencies. So go ahead, Dave.
Yes. So the first one, PCO 66, revisions to the layout of electric rooms. This was due to coordination between the conduits that come out of these electric rooms are numerous, and they're bunched up into groups. And it was discovered that they're penetrating the heavy reinforcement of the slab on grade in this area. So to alleviate any structural concerns, the conduits were relocated to a better location. And because of that, the switchgear and the layout of the room had to flip around. So this is the cost for the framing and minor door changes to reconfigure the layout of the rooms. Next is PCO 34. This is a various revisions to details regarding drywall, casework, millwork that all interacted together based on some of the RFIs that came in, specifically RFI 59. PCO 51, this is the cost for labor and installation of small diameter piping that feeds the condenser unit, number 6, and the branch controller. The number of the 57,000 does not include the cost of the equipment. It's just labor and the installation of these 2 units. PCO 70, this was a error in our spec that we picked up during submittals and we changed the grade of the fabric in the auditorium seating from grade 1 to grade 7. PCO 74, this is a power adjustment for an air cleaner, which is like a air filter in the art rooms. And the requirements for the unit were different than what were on the drawings, something we picked up in submittals, and so there's adjustment of the power requirements. PCO 75, this is the revisions to conduits to align with the most current PV solar array drawings. So adjusted some of the sleeve locations.
So I'll pick up PCO 612. This is the upper lot ledge removal. So when we're digging down to get the foundation in for retaining wall 1 and for the upper lot, we encountered ledge. It was quite a bit of it. We spent a couple months drilling it and hammering it out. So that's that PCO. And then PCO 709 is PR11R2. It's the 2 switch gears in the building. We pre-purchased these equipment last winter, so we can have them in time. They are sitting in our vendor's warehouse, ready to get into the building once we're weather tight. We had to make some changes on it. We did have some holes to cover these costs.
For the ledge, you had an allowance, correct?
Correct.
And that was, and this was, the allowance was something even higher than this number, as I recall.
Correct.
Are you closing that allowance out, or how do you?
Uh,
reconcile that?
Once, I think we have a couple more PCOs.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But yes.
It was for site obstructions, is that what it was called?
Can you remind me, the PR, those were like anticipated? No, PR.
P-
pricing request.
PR is a proposal
The
request.
proposal request, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
So there was no blasting involved in that?
We didn't have permission.
Not allowed.
Not allowed, so they had to,
Hammer
one guy
away.
with a little
Hammer
hammer.
away.
I just have a general question. So when it comes to like the pre-construction coordination efforts and then the design, how you guys got to see these kind of after the fact, where did the MVP coordination come into play? And how did that speak to the construction document delivery?
So. Do you want to go or?
Just because I wasn't here for it.
I think it's still.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So can you give me a little background on?
So
just-
from the design side, we use Revisto and do our own coordination during design. But obviously when the trades come in, they've got their own way of laying things out and actual reality to deal with. So those meetings are held on a weekly basis, correct?
Correct.
Design team is present.
Okay,
So, yeah.
how
working-
far are you along with coordination?
So right now with through like their major coordination of each building, and we're working on like access panel layout and stuff like
Okay, so then how, so you're taking that model and then are you providing bulletins to capture any of those changes?
If
Or
there aren't changes.
if there are any
Yeah,
changes?
so a PR is a proposal request, as Dave said. Those are ones where we anticipate seeing cost savings or adds.
Yeah.
Or an ASI would be issued if it's just a change in information, architect supplemental instructions. Those are the ones that we don't anticipate any cost being succeeded.
Just a clarification.
All right, so just, I'm just asking because now that the exterior is getting enclosed, now we're really, that's the building, so understanding kind of from a risk standpoint, where do we land between the coordination and design? It's ongoing, but something. Guidance through the process. Okay.
Okay,
But that's a great question. So for the risk analysis, where do you think we stand?
that. I think overhead rough, we're into A and B. Everything we planned for has been going in. We haven't had any hiccups to date. And I don't anticipate any. We spend a lot of time coordinating dates and every week, working through any issues and put a really good effort into it. So right now we're seeing it come.
Well, we will likely continue to have proposal requests throughout the entire process of this construction as things are being installed and coordinated that may have been not able to be coordinated until subs were brought on and submittals were submitted and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I completely understand that, just kind of understanding where you are in the process, coordination and all that. Yeah. Just, I'm anticipating.
Yeah, and some of these are not, like, they're several months old because there has been some vetting, so there, you know, as Lynn said, we have 122 workers on site. There's a lot more subs coming in, as you can see by the rec. So the more subs that are introduced, the more RFIs that come in, and that's where we're at. So
But this, all the PCOs on this are incorporated within the GMP, either through the GMP contingency or specified holes or allowances. So this is a $0 contract sum change.
and in discussion, initially, there was going to be this SOV 10 was going to be 28 items. totaling 262 pages. And, but we didn't get it until Tuesday, and I talked to Lynn, I said, we can't do that. That's not fair to all of us. We can't be going through 262 pages in 2 days. So that's why this was pared down to these 8. So in the next, but we did in discussions with Bond and SFMA earlier today, and there's going to be a lot more PCOs coming. I mean, there's 20 more that were on this list. So some of them are credits, I might add.
Wow.
We'll accept those. But there's gonna be a lot more coming because there's a little backlogging of things such as, but we did request them from now on that we get them at least a week beforehand so that we are able to mark this. But a week beforehand, so we had the chance to review it and not come up like 2 days beforehand.
So maybe that answers my question, but so PCO 51, is there more costs related to the components? You said that was just labor related to the changes. Is there cost associated with that on the equipment or?
No, not on this item.
Right, any other questions or comments?
We're gonna see the balances of the contingencies tonight. Like, most of this is coming out of bonds, right? So how much does bond have left in their contingency?
Bond has, after that, there's like 100,000 here going towards their contingency. There's 7.5 million left.
Okay.
And that's not including the holds and allowances. I'll update. So I was waiting to process these, and I can update that log that I've been sending you folks.
Okay.
We do on some other jobs have a slide that we present that shows the status of GMP contingency, owner contingency, and construction contingency. And we do that we show that also as a percentage against the percentage of construction complete, just so you can kind of gauge where we are in construction with what's been expended in the contingencies. We can start to add that slide if
Yeah, I
it's
think
helpful.
that'd be great. Yeah, that'd be great, Lynn. Yeah,
Great.
that'd be very helpful.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
What did the bond contingency start at? It's at 7.5 left. What did it start at?
So there's been $912,000 approved out of it to date. So 8.5 million.
Thanks.
Any other questions, comments? I think we need a motion.
Yes. Next slide.
There's still the
Yeah, but we're doing 10.
Yes, if we could,
but the other PCO is in that that
we'll vote
attachment
that
you had
separate,
to.
Chris.
I'm sorry.
We'll have to
That's
vote
separate.
that separate.
Right,
Okay.
I move that we approve the interim
Gotcha.
change order number 10 as presented.
I second.
Any questions or comments? Being none. Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
unanimous. All
So
right, now
we
we
got-
got one more. Yeah.
Right, and just because of the timing, we really do need to have this reviewed and approved if everybody's in agreement. We will incorporate it in the next change order, but we would like to get this individual PCO approved now so that the work can get done. And I don't know, you guys want to explain it?
Yeah.
What the work is?
Marcus?
Yep.
You have that sketch that you.
Yeah,
can
where's-
fill out?
Yeah, the sketch is right. Just scroll down to the next. And can you rotate it by any chance?
Oh,
Yeah.
There you go.
there we are.
So Jerry put this sketch together to try to depict what happened. So last month we talked about going in and we had to replace the double 90s we had, which we unfortunately had to install because the old culvert was in the way. And we had to get this done in June to get prepared to bring the new one across. So that little connection, that square box in red, that's where the 90 was, and that's where the sleeve ended. So we went back in last month, dug it down, replaced the 245s. And we went to get inspections from the water department and engineering, and the engineer came out and said we had to extend the sleeve 5 feet past the culvert per their standards of the town. So unfortunately, we didn't have the parts and pieces because they're custom spacers in the sleeve to hold the pipe in place because it's so big. There was like a 2 to 3 week lead time, so we had to infill the hole again and make it safe for those 3 weeks, so we weren't managing an open excavation. So this cost is to dig it back out, extend the sleeve, encase it in concrete. As you can see, it's doweled in with those 2 blue lines, and then reconnect the 245s. And we left the bypass in place, so. This is
All right, and so the cost of this is 84,000?
Yeah, just trying to remember it. Does design change from the last time we talked about it?
So
This is the 5-foot extension.
this is moving this whole assembly 5 feet to get that sleeve 5 feet away from it.
It's not a design change. It's a change to accommodate the town's standard detail.
All right, any other questions or comments? We go back to the most, there it is.
I move that we had approved PCO 70 to extend the water main sleeve under culvert in Hemlock Road to the sum of $84,416.
A second.
Any questions or comments? Seeing none, Jason,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Chrissy,
Yes.
Chip.
Yes.
And again, this is funded within the GMP.
Right. Yeah, it's in the GMP contingency. So from 7.5 to 7 or 24.
But just like,
Yeah.
saying this is a town requirement,
Yeah,
doesn't the town pay for it?
Isn't the town paying for it?
well, it is indirectly through us.
Indirectly through us.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
town
we
people
talked
are
about
paying
all the
for
time.
it. Yes, you are correct.
All right, next, agenda item.
Tim, you got the presentation?
Oh, okay, Conservation Commission update. Before we do the design construction update from Marcus. Yes. Tuesday, we went before the Conservation Commission a week ago Tuesday. SMA was there, Peter Robach, Helen.
Reebok, yep.
Reebok, yes,
Yep.
did a great job. Chip and I attended as well. We answered all the questions that the Conservation Commission had. There were questions from citizens as well. And those were answered. The commission has approved the Burnett Field, last Burnett Field lighting
Wow.
with some conditions of
Two
two additional conditions that will only be used when the field is in use, and the lights will be turned off at 9 p.m.
and that the lights will be dark sky
And
compliant.
Right, and the lights to be dark sky compliant, we have to make them certified. Dark sky compliant, we have to go through a process. The initial thing goes to the dark sky people, whoever they are, with a fee. You can imagine where they're sitting there in some dark sky area. And then they review it, and then once it's installed, they then come out, I understand, and then they test it to make sure, and then we become certified.
And we're committed to doing that
And we are going to be doing that.
if we put the lights on.
Yeah, are there any more steps besides the conservation in order to get this?
Yeah, and you go to the zoning board of appeals. Right?
Yep. So at some point, we'll go probably after the discussion on H and see where we end up with that parking lot.
Mhm.
But at some point, you have to go back to the zoning board for minor modifications to the plan. So the zoning board approved a set of plans. And then we'll go back to them and say, we're doing this and this, and they'll choose to decide whether they're minor modifications or need to have a whole new hearing. I think both of those things would be considered, in my humble opinion, both those things would be considered minor modifications.
Understood.
Bill?
I just want to thank the design team and PBC for attending those meetings and for presenting the facts of what was being presented. There was a lot of misinformation and false narratives that were throwing people off in the town. So I'm happy that Conservation Commission saw the information and it was presented as clearly and we answered their questions. So thanks for doing that. This is a great upgrade if we can make it happen for the girls team.
Couldn't agree more.
Cool.
Any other questions or comments on that? If there are none. Marcus?
We're gonna delete these two. These are a little premature to be in the presentation for tonight.
Oh, okay.
Okay, this is just an aerial shot of the west side of the building, kind of the main entrance, a little to the left. You can see the roofs going on, you can see the fireproofing trailer out there. This is just another angle of that same area. You can see the regulators going. You know, the stairs installed at, I think that's B1, getting ready for concrete, which is already poured now. This is the light gauge metal framing we talked about in Division 9. Just kind of a aerial shot. This is actually a really good one. You can see the so you got the light gauge metal framing going on, you see the sheathing, which is purple, and then you see that north face of building A, which is the ADB, it's the silver look, so that's going on. Once that's on, we can start putting the windows in, which the first windows in went in this week. So it's all exciting.
Who's putting in the rooftop unit, like the blocking structures and?
The blocking bond is doing that in-house, so the rooftop units. You can see the kind of the roof is on the academic wing at this point is already on. We're working back to detail the parapets, and then the roof will come back and wrap that up. But they are moving on to back in the gym roof, which is the high roof right there. This is the overslur pit. We poured it. This is the first step of kind of detailing out the auditorium. We work our way back out of the slope. This is just another picture of the exterior of light gauge metal framing. B, this is on the corner. This is. Oh, this is in the gym facing the learning stair. You can see went after the light gauge on the inside of the low roof at C because we have to roll the roof up and tie in that way. We also want to get the brick on before we do the roof, so we're not. That's why we're getting ahead of that. This is the kind of the kitchen area. All the underground is done. They're prepping. We're actually past this point now, but this was really kind of prepping this upgrade, getting ready for installation in Stago, and then the structural rebar time. This is stair B2. You can see it's poured in. Now we have A, B1, B2 all poured, and we're open to business. So in the next couple of weeks, we'll be taking down the temporary stair tower and just using these. We have started the elevator shaft in the C building. Making headway on that. Once we're done with this, we're gonna move over and start staging the mock-up to start the brick over there. This is just a picture of the mock-up. That's the sunshade on the current wall. All right, I hit a couple, but I'll just run real quickly. So mock-up, that's in our lot. curtain wall's done, all the windows are done. So we're staging that area once we're done with the elevator shaft and C, and the brick is arriving for the mock-up on Monday. We continue doing roof blocking with fallen forces around buildings, site work, Equigley. They're backfilling the main electric room in F so we can get that ready for concrete. We're also doing some drainage improvements in the courtyard of A and E, which is kind of our lay down here and access to the building with equipment. They're working on trenches for the plumber in the locker room area to get that last underground done, and just kind of working on subgrades in the rest of the areas that we can get ahead on subgrade. Jail marshal, they have completed all the stairs that are installed, working through slab on grades in D, E, and F to try to close out the concrete work within the building. Lighthouse, as you saw, is doing the CMU shaft in C, and then they're also doing some curves up in the roof to get going up there. Roman is kind of in and out as we need them to get the stairs installed. So once the slab on grades are done, they'll come in and start finishing up the stairs. Norgate, they're gonna be coming in and out, trying to punch us work for us. PJ Spillane, as you saw, is working on the ABB, that's that silver on the A building. The waterproofing comes in and out, just kind of repairing the waterproofing on the brick shelf and doing some odds and ends for us. The roofer, as you see, the academic A, B, and C wing is done, just doing detail work once the parapet's done. And they're working on the gymnasium roof, and then they'll go from that to the auditorium roof. Work their way off. Lockheed, like I said, started installing windows this week. Sunrise has mobilized, started layout and installed the sunshade brackets. They started delivering curtain wall parts that will go in the month. Century, like gauge metal framing and sheathing ongoing, and they're also working in the interior doing framing. Fireproofing is kind of jumping around where we have slabs available to hit. Monty, majority working on the underground, so we can get that done, get the subgrade prepped and get the slab on grades done. GCI, the fire protection, they're just working through the building, getting the mains and sandpipes done. Get that temporary connected to the fire department. PJ Kennedy is ongoing with refrigerant piping throughout the academic wings. Wisteria is working on the ductwork, majority on the 3rd floor right now to stay ahead of the framer. And then Griffin is working on building out the electrical rooms, working on overhead conduit and MC runs.
How many people are on site?
We got roughly 140.
Wow. Awesome.
With 122 today.
Okay,
If Marcus, roughly, if you had all good weather, how many more roofing days do you need to complete the roof?
Probably it's probably another 2 months to really tie it off.
If every day was good?
Yeah.
Is there any spot that the roofer is holding you up at all?
Honestly, it was the academic wing, and now that we're off of it, it's kind of the pressure's off a little bit. They're going on to the gym roof, which is nice. It doesn't have any spray fireproofing on it, so they can just work. We're not there yet with utility overhead, so it kind of opens up. No one's walking over there interrupting them. Same with the auditorium, so that really kind of gives us some breathing room.
Great, thank you.
Where are the PV panels going? They're on the roof?
They're everywhere.
There, yeah.
All buildings get PV panels.
Yeah, all sections of what we're calling the buildings.
Is it a
some
biosolar roof
coverage.
or just the PV?
Just the PV.
Did you see the biosolar roof? It was insane.
Really?
Like, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay, good to know.
Stick with the PV on.
Yeah.
Sequentially, it's like disaster.
is it? What did you say it was?
There's a at our development, we did a bio-solar roof, so it means like a green roof, and then you have your PV panels too. So the sequence of trades that has to work and the amount, like your comment about the other trades, space that's required. And then you have like electricians like working in dirt. Because you put the dirt down and the electricians have to go and put the final panels on, and then you have to go and put like seed media, so you have, it's just like, it's not, yeah, it's very complicated.
Any other questions or comments from this construction update? Okay.
This brings us to future meetings, and we have the Conservation Commission meeting on Tuesday night, which will close up the final review of the order of conditions. And then we have user group meetings for the furniture, fixtures, and equipment coming up next week, the 21st, 22nd, and 28th. And the next walk of the site for the PBC is June 5th. And our next permanent building committee meeting was moved to June 19th. It's shown on the calendar correctly, but not on the left-hand side.
Yeah, we had to move it from the 12th. There's some other commitments. It was gonna be the 19th of June. All right, any questions, schedule?
Was this meeting scheduled by the town?
What?
I normally see it from Sherry Dalton. She posts all the meetings.
Yeah, we sent it to her.
See,
What?
Tonight's meeting or the conservation?
no, this meeting tonight
Yeah, it was on.
was
Yeah, on the town calendar.
from Sherry Dalton.
Yeah.
Are you talking about like
Like the town website?
I didn't,
Well, the
normally
invite,
I
what are you
did it every
talking
month,
about?
I didn't get.
I got the invite for tonight's meeting. from
Yeah, I
Sherry
got it.
A while ago.
A while ago.
Yeah, well, maybe it was a long
wasn't
time
recent-
ago,
It
actually.
wasn't recently, yeah.
It wasn't recently, Wayne, that's probably why.
It was over 3 weeks ago.
Yeah. All right. Is that it, Lynn?
If it hadn't gone out, we wouldn't be.
That's everything,
Okay,
unless anybody has questions.
well, where we go?
All right. So the first meeting after town meeting, we have to reorganize our upper echelon of this group. So whatever crew is out there can announce tonight what they want to do.
I nominate Joe.
So there's a chairman and a secretary. Currently, Joe is the chair, I'm the secretary. Anybody
I know
interested?
what the chair did. What is the secretary?
Nothing.
You see what he
Other
does?
than- other than
Reads,
get to
reads
read-
the price.
get to read the,
So like, so tonight's meeting where there was more than just the high school, because we've been just talking high school for a while, right? So tonight we had like the salt shed, or like
we're
this, like,
fortunate that Lynn takes notes. for
that will
us.
be in those general notes that we
Yeah.
approve. Those aren't just high school notes.
No,
Okay.
that's how we've done it in the past. It really gets tough though, because then I have to do something when we don't have a project and we have a town project. That we don't have,
Well, that'll be,
that we don't have left field on,
Right.
then I actually have to like take a
Great.
note.
Do we have a nomination?
Yes, do you have?
Joe.
All right.
Nominate Joe.
Are there any other nominations for chairman or chairperson?
I second that nomination.
Figured you would.
I nominate Chip for secretary.
Second that.
Anyone
Any
else
other
interested in the
nominations
role?
For secretary?
Anyone else interested in the role?
Oh, all right. All in favor of myself and Mr. Tarbell as chairman and secretary?
Aye.
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 You guys are stuck.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Anyway, we're gonna rethink their vote.
Anyone interested in a coup?
Not at all.
All right.
You guys are doing a great job. Great job.
See, that's your problem. You're doing a great job.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful to left field in order to.
Yeah, we're very thankful for left field ones. All right, any other questions, any other thing coming up? Next time we meet, we'll have the tour on the fifth,
Yeah.
Yep.
okay?
So can I add?
Yeah, John.
For the salt shed, are we gonna get something before the next meeting that we're
Yes.
gonna look at and get?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's.
an RFP.
Sounds that
We'll
way.
we'll get a draft of an RFP, we'll review it, and, then
Can
we'll
we
go
be
from.
sending notes to like one person, or can we, because we can't email everybody if we.
No, you can't, so we'll probably just have to email Joe back
Oh,
if you have anything, we'll figure that out.
Yeah, you'll email Joe back and then Joe will coordinate the notes
Okay.
and present us a final
Yeah, and then it'll go out for, going to,
request for
Proposal
proposals.
and all
Then
that
we'll have a
stuff.
meeting where we review all the proposals and select a,
Are there any other projects percolating out there?
well, the other, what was it called?
The fuel
The
pump.
fuel
Going
thing
down.
was,
That went down.
that went down.
Yeah.
But
The
that
other-
would have been us too.
The other one that's circulating out there is the ADA access and or elevator to the arts building, which is the old WMGLD building.
I mean, that's gonna cost a few bucks.
It will be more than $100,000 of vertical construction.
Way over.
So, that is percolating between the Disabilities Commission, and starting to look at what it would take to put an elevator and make that building accessible.
But that also would be our purview of this committee.
For the bathroom at the lake.
Are they doing something with that?
They are.
They're building it,
They're building
behind the field over there where
Yeah,
the farmer's
that's-
market is. It's
Probably missed our purview.
Yeah, I think it missed.
Things like that have happened before.
It's plain PVC.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were all into that.
Some people don't, recognize that it's, we are the sole authority.
100,000 is a very low threshold nowadays.
These days,
It really
yeah.
is. Like when
You gotta
that charter
remember-
was written, I'm sure that was,
This was created in 1994.
yeah,
Is
like,
that right?
yeah. What would it take? A charter change, obviously?
You have to have
Is
a-
that how you amend something
No,
like
this
that?
No,
could
this is a bylaw change.
We could talk to Dan Lieber. Joe.
Chip should do that as secretary.
As secretary.
That really has
That
to
would
come,
be-
that really has to come from the chair.
I don't.
Like, it's just such a low, cause we're gonna get bogged down as a committee if that is the threshold. We start taking $105,000 projects on around town, like. There's plenty of those that come through capital planning, so like, I worry about just the
volume.
availability.
It's
That's
probably
why-
time to update that number.
That's why,
Yeah.
like, when other smaller things went on,
Yeah,
we
like,
just ignored it.
it may be worth it to explore.
Sorry, we did. I
I mean, to think about, when you think about the planning the town has to do coming up.
Yeah.
I actually had a conversation with Doug Lyons last week that he better get his school committee starting to think about the Greenwood. So that when this is done,
That's gotta be way over.
But they're
that's
talking,
way overdue.
they're talking
And
Doyle,
then-
they're
what?
talking preschool, they're talking modulars at Doyle.
Exactly, all of that stuff. And then
How about those bike lanes?
they're not.
thank goodness we don't do.
Under 100K, under 100K.
If we did.
North Ave.
And then the other thing that's really strange is that if you're around here long enough, Dole Bear will be 30 years old in like 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, and life of schools and how they teach and class sizes and all that change in 30 years. So as soon as we get done, we start the cycle all over again.
Woodville's over 20, isn't
So
it?
Greenwood wins if we're counting years, so
What?
Greenwood would win if we're
Well,
counting.
Greenwood
yeah,
wins, and
Greenwood
it also needs to be ADA accessible and air conditioned, and,
Right.
I mean, it's totally, but God forbid you talk to anybody that lives in Greenwood and you even talk
Don't
about,
touch that.
don't touch that building.
Right.
So it'd be a renovation addition, I think.
Well, if all Greenwood people say that, but yeah, no, I know what you're
Because it is,
saying.
I mean, to get through town meeting.
Yeah.
It's a renovation addition, and there's plenty of room on that space to do both of those things.
The only school in town that's been through 2 pandemics, Chip.
What?
It's the only school in town that's been through 2 pandemics.
Oh, wow.
Spanish flu and COVID-19.
Yeah.
No HVAC. All they did was put fans during COVID. They didn't have to do any commissioning,
No.
no return rate changes. They just put fans in the
Put
windows.
in some fans.
We sent our kids in with masks.
Check it out.
Yeah.
There's no asbestos.
Go to school.
Motion
All
to
right,
adjourn.
all right.
So moved.
So moved, all in favor.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Good
Okay,
night.
good night.